The Carolina Panthers enter this year's draft in the worst position of any team, not having their starting quarterback of the future on the roster, knowing that they don't have their starting quarterback of the future on the roster, and also, unfortunately, while they own the 6th overall pick, their next pick isn't until the 4th round. Now, obviously, there are trades that could be involved, but the latest news coming out of Carolina is that Carolina Panthers general manager has informed Sam Darnold that the team is likely going to be adding a quarterback. The quote is, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be adding a quarterback through this year's draft. And I do not blame the Carolina Panthers for thinking about drafting a quarterback. Really, they should be thinking about drafting a quarterback at some point in this draft because you know that Cam Newton is not the future. He is the past of this franchise for sure, but he is not the future of this franchise. He was more so of a novelty run, of a throwback run, of a cash grab for the Carolina Panthers to sell tickets. Look, I understood it. It was a marketing ploy. In the long run, it was never going to fix things. Sam Darnold gets there, right? He has a few very good games. He does what Sam Darnold does. He has a few very good games, and then he shows you why many people label him a bust. Compared to some of the other quarterbacks in that draft, I mean, look, Josh Rosen was still is a very low bar if we're talking about a bust. But, Sam Darnold was a top pick in the draft, one of the top picks in his draft, and he didn't pan out. And we're seeing exactly why through his play in Carolina. It didn't sustain itself. They have a lot of really good pieces. They don't have a good O-line. And I honestly think if their plan is to pick at number 6 and then not pick until the 4th round, they are making a grave mistake. Because they're currently, as I see it right now, there are some quarterbacks like Malik Willis that have tremendous upside. There are some quarterbacks like, I think, a Desmond Ridder, who has amazing upside, larger than any other quarterback in this draft. Then you have the Howells. Then you have the Kenny Pickett's of the world. You have some quarterbacks that are worth it. But at the end of the day, it is better for the Carolina Panthers if they do one of two things. One, they trade down, they get a 2nd-round pick and a 1st-round pick, and they end, and by the way, there's a lot of teams out there, just so you know, there's a lot of teams with multiple 1st-round picks that could easily trade up to number 6 and select one of these fantastic players. Because here's the thing, I know we focus, there's a lot of people talking about how, this is one of the worst drafts of all time. They're talking about this being a bad draft because the quarterbacks aren't as good as they were last year, were 2 years ago, were 3 years ago, or they're going to be next year. Outside the quarterback position, this is one of the best drafts I've ever seen. Some of the best prospects I've ever seen. You had the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Trevon Walkers, the Evan Neals, who is a guy that could very well fall to the Carolina Panthers at number 6. And if Evan Neal, who I think is the best offensive lineman, I should say, in this draft, that's the guy you get. You get the cornerstone offensive lineman that you needed. Put him aside Bradley Bozeman. Put him aside that new center you signed. Boom, boom, boom. You have built out a winning offensive line for the next few years. And then, if you have a 2nd-round pick, you can get a Desmond Ridder. You can get a Howe. You can get one of these quarterbacks. You might even get a Malik Willis, although there's going to be a scenario, I think, at least one. It's probably going to end up being 2. At least one of these quarterbacks, and it might end up being Kenny Pickett, is going to go way ahead of where he should go. I honestly do not have any of these quarterbacks rated at a 1st-round grade. There's a reason for that. I think the risk with these quarterbacks right now in the short term, going to teams that don't know how to develop quarterbacks, it's not worth it. So that's my 2 cents on that. You're the Carolina Panthers. The best case scenario, you trade down, you get multiple picks, and then, you know what? If you got 2 1st-round picks, you solidify your defensive position. You solidify any position. Like there are so many can't misses in this draft. Like I talked about Trevon Walker, a guy like Devin Lloyd, a guy like Nakobe Dean. Like there are so many great defensive players that would immediately make an immense impact on the Carolina Panthers. You want to fill the hole that Luke Kuechly left? There's your guy in Nakobe Dean. You want to in Devin Lloyd, in a lot of these guys. I mean, again, the list goes on and on and on. But if you pick a quarterback at number 6, and then that's where you're at, and if it's Malik Willis, if it's whoever it is, I don't know. I don't know if you're setting them up for success in both the short and long term. As much as the jury is still out on Matt Rule, one thing he has proven, and granted, he's been given a lot of placeholder quarterbacks. One thing he's proven is just not able to get the best out of those quarterbacks. He's just not able to do it. His staff is not able to do it. They have some weapons on the outside in Moore and Anderson. You have Run CMC coming back. By the way, it might help out Run CMC if you drafted a guy like Evan Neal to help block for him. And then you have the 2023 NFL Draft where there are so many quarterbacks. A boatload of quarterbacks that are going to be better equipped, better trained, and better prepared for the NFL. That's just my 2 cents on it. We will see what happens tonight on the draft. Be sure to check out our draft stream. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And also, please consider leaving a super thanks to help out and support the show. Next time, keep it real.